Hi, I'm Randy Robison. This is Life Today TV. And you know, if anyone was born into the entertainment industry, it was LaDonna Gatlin. I'm sure you've heard of the Gatlin brothers, if you're at least my age. And she made the Gatlin trio, the Gatlin Quartet.
I did.
Did you? Which came first, walking or singing?
Singing.
Yeah.
Mother swears that in the delivery room, the doctor swatted our bottoms, and we went, all the golden California. That's my mother's joke. But
yeah.
I don't remember not singing.
Yeah.
I guess that's a double negative, but it was just kind of like breathing in our family.
Yeah. So, I mean, right out of the chute, I've seen some of the photos. I mean, you were tiny, right?
We were. I'm the baby and the only girl, and Mother had all four of us in a span of only 6 years. So we're very close in age. Larry, Steve, Rudy, myself, we were stair-stepped. And she was the church piano player. So we went to church all the time, and that's where we learned to sing. And she put us in our first talent show at the Ector County Coliseum in Odessa, Texas, when I was 6 years old. So that was 1960. Okay, I'm 58. I'll help you do the math. And we won first place. Sang a little gospel song. Mother played the piano for us. Guess what first place was, Randy?
What?
A Shetland pony.
A Shetland. That's only in Odessa, Texas. Really?
Meanest animal on the earth. And that's the last thing we needed was another mouth to feed, you know, as my dad later found out. But it was a fabulous way to grow up. I had three wonderful older brothers, wonderful mentors, wonderful singers, and my protectors, you know. And growing up, I had my three big brothers that were always going to go to battle for their little sister and protect me.
So, Wikipedia check here. How many #1 hits?
Oh, gee. Now,
How many?
10 top 10 records, 2 #1, 40 top 10. You know what? I'd have to check a bunch.
It was a lot.
Yeah, they
How
had
many
a
Grammys?
bunch.
I know Broken Lady.
Larry actually won the Grammy for writing Broken Lady, and that I sang on that song as well as the others. I left right after. Actually, I left before it won the Grammy, but we had already recorded the record.
What did
the
you...
record? Y'all remember those?
The
record.
What was your? Well, what do you? When you look back on that time, what was the most enjoyable part of it?
Oh, the music.
Just the music.
The music.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, some people call it blood harmony. It's family harmony. You know, my mother's father used to take her to what they called all-day singing and dinner on the ground on Sunday afternoons. And my dad's family loved music. My dad played guitar, not professionally, but you know, he played guitar in church. My mom played the piano in church. Never really even took music lessons. They just played by ear and taught us. They had such a passion for music, so they really passed that on to us. And we are the wonderful recipients of that heritage, and I'm very grateful for that.
What was the worst part?
The road.
Yeah.
The road. You know, just the grind, the daily grind of getting on the bus or getting on the plane or packing another bag or eating another greasy cheeseburger.
Was it hard being the one girl in the...
Yes and no. Actually, I remember in the early days, I mean, we always had a station wagon. And that was before seatbelts were in force. So I would have mostly the back of the station wagon to myself. To myself, yeah, to where I could have if we gotten rear-ended, I was a goner, you know. But I was there with all my Barbie dolls and, you know, all that kind of thing. And actually, Rudy, my next brother up, which is 2 years older than I, he would sometimes actually play Barbies with me. Rudy, I'm sorry, I'm telling on you, but anyway.
It's on the web now, you can take it back.
So it was, I never felt lonely, even though I was the only girl, because my brothers, they were wonderful. They loved me, they took care of me, and of course my mom was like a big sister to me. But it was a fabulous way to grow up. I can't imagine my life being any other way.
So were they pretty, you mentioned earlier that you left right after the Grammy Award-winning song. Were they pretty upset?
They were. That was the middle 1970s. By then, we had taken our family harmony to Nashville. Larry had gone first and kind of paved the way for the rest of us. He began to make some, you know, connections on Music Row and that kind of thing, all the while still being a janitor. You know, he'd sing at night and then clean WSM studios during the day.
Really?
So, yeah, he was paying his dues. But he landed a deal with Monument Records, and really, Monument wanted Larry. And Larry said, you know, I've got these 2 kid brothers and a little sister, and we make some pretty good harmony, and you need to have them come. And so once we went to Nashville and they heard us sing, they were like, well, you're right, these kids can sing. I remember sitting in the RCA building with Chet Atkins, sitting on the floor, the four of us in a semicircle, and him, and just singing for him, a cappella, just sitting on the floor. I mean, I have memories like that.
Wow.
Johnny Cash, June Cash. I remember being in Las Vegas, and I walked into Johnny and June's dressing room one night, and Johnny Cash looked at me and he said, "Girl, you look like you just came from Sunday school," you know.
And you did.
But back to your question, I'm sorry I was chasing a rabbit there. I tend to do that. I got married in 1970. Oh dear, what year did 4? I'm sorry, Tim. 38 years of marriage. And once Tim and I got married, even though he was a fabulous keyboard player, and my brothers were like, "Great, he'll fit right into the group, you know, play the keyboards for us, 2 for the price of 1." We toured with the brothers, and it was Larry Gatlin family and friends back then, because obviously there was a girl in the group, and it couldn't have just been Larry Gatlin and the Gatlin brothers. But it just didn't take us very long to realize this was not God's best plan for our life. And in fact, we went to a revival meeting in Hendersonville, Tennessee. Dave Reaver.
Really?
Dave Reaver.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I'd ever seen Dave, the first time Tim had, and we heard his story and his testimony and just the powerful ministry that he had. And God began to work on our spirits. And we just, while I know that you can be a Christian and be a country music singer, don't get me wrong, it just wasn't God's best plan for my husband and my life. So we decided to make our exit, and my brothers never saw that coming. I didn't even really see that coming until it began to happen. And once it began to unfold, it became crystal clear to me. So for about a year or so, there were some hurt feelings. And I can certainly understand that. Yeah. You know, it blindsided them. But I was living their dream. Yeah. And God had a different dream, a different plan for my life as a married lady with Tim. And I tell folks, my brothers went on to produce hit records. I went on to produce 2 kids. They got famous, and I got stretch marks. So there you go. But all in God's plan and His timing. And it's, you know, Larry would be the first one to tell you today, my little sister made the right choice 30 plus years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
you still sing?
I do. I'm a motivational speaker, inspirational speaker, and I sing in addition to in the middle of my speeches, or sometimes I just will do an after-dinner entertainment, you know, if somebody wants squeaky clean, good entertainment at a convention or an association. There's an association for everything under the earth.
And you have found that out. You mentioned some of them. What was the grain and feed?
Well, I just last week I was in St. Cloud, Minnesota, 18 degrees below zero. Wonderful group of people, the Minnesota Grain and Feed Association.
There you go.
Wonderful, wonderful people that they put the bread on our table. Literally, they grow the grain.
Farmers.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And so what do they do? Get together and have a dinner and?
Well, they have a convention where they learn all about state of the art.
Oh, okay.
You know, how to raise your crops better, how to do more with less, you know, the state-of-the-art technology and farming and all that kind of stuff. And these guys all have major horticultural degrees. I mean, they are brilliant people, you know, that do this. And, of course, they need motivational speakers and singers and entertainers. And
so what do you do? When you show up, you play the piano and sing
I play,
gospel?
I do a mix.
Country?
I do a mix of some Gatlin Brothers tunes. In fact, sometimes I'll invite 3 members from the audience to come be the Gatlin Brothers with me on stage, and I do a program.
That can be disastrous.
Yeah, it has been.
Yeah.
It has been at times, but we've always had a good time with it. They've always been very good-natured about it. But I do some pop, some country, some patriotic, some gospel, and it's really, really amazing that in the midst of a secular audience, many times I will ask my meeting planner or the person who hired me, would it be appropriate for me to just go sit at the piano and take some requests from the audience, some gospel requests? And 99 times out of 100, they'll say, oh, our people would love that.
Yeah, sure.
So it's a neat way for me to take the gospel, you know, outside the church walls and still be who I am. And I tell people I plant the seeds. You know, somebody else comes along and waters them, and then somebody else sees the growth and that kind of thing. But we all have a different role to play in God's kingdom, and so I see
Wonderful.
mine
You're
as
playing another role, and that is the role of writer.
I am,
Tell me
indeed.
about your new book.
Well, I'm very, very blessed to have had a fabulous co-author, first of all, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, but a co-author by the name of Dr. Mike Marino, who has a PhD in counseling, So it's a great mix, I feel like, in the book. I provide the story, and believe me, there's some wacky stories growing up in the Gatlin family and all of the behind the scenes that I've seen.
Any entertainment family on the road is going to have the stories.
You bet. We've got stories that just like, you're a preacher's kid, so you got stories. So we all have those. But the stories, and then Dr. Marino comes in with just really great advice kind of at the end or throughout the chapter, and
kind of apply some of your life lessons to everyone else.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. You put the words in my mouth, and I needed your help there. I appreciate that. And so it gives you both, and then at the end of the chapter, it's kind of the how-to. So the first of the book is do the right thing. And of course, I reference back to 30 plus years ago when doing the right thing for me and for my husband Tim meant that we had a decision to make. Yeah. And we all have decisions to make every day of our life. And of course, the most important one is the decision we make to follow Christ. And then after that, it's how even the smallest decisions can forever change the course of our lives. Big decisions, small decisions, whatever. We all make decisions.
A Song in You.
Absolutely.
The new book. It's available Amazon, bookstores.
And at my website.
And on your website. I want you to mention your website.
It is very easy, LaDonnaGatlin.com.
Great, and people can get in touch with you if they want to have you come sing or speak? Or
love to.
You do church groups, you do secular groups?
Everything, absolutely. You bet. If they look at my website and look under all clients, they'll see the list. It's everything from A to Z, everything in between. But LaDonnaGatlin.com, all the information you need is right there. And the phone number you're going to dial, I'm going to answer it, or it's going to go to my voicemail. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, good. We'll check it out, and be sure to check out LaDonna when she's on Life Today. That is also at lifetoday.org. There's another part of her testimony that you definitely want to hear as she battled depression. So there's a lot more. And I appreciate you taking the time to come up here and talk about little old days and fun stuff and the new stuff that you're doing. It's all real good.
Well, life is great. I'm just blessed to get to do what I do. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
A pleasure.